source.
Ocala's information station, 1370 WOCA.
Ocala.
All right, 14 minutes after 11 o'clock. Thank you for tuning in. This past Saturday was the anniversary of Pearl Harbor.
Yeah.
The day Pearl Harbor was bombed. And I know it was a war. And all of you who served in that war, thank you for your contribution. And we've had many of you in here. And I think those who served in the war have a different reaction than our generation when I say what I'm about to say. There's something about that era. And now you call it the World War II era. But there's something about the era aside from the war part that's romantic. I don't know why it is. It's hard to, I don't know. I'll never know. But if you have somebody who can write, as our next guest can write, there's no question about it. It is an unbelievable talent to be able to take, it's almost like Time Machine. Time Machine through words, ink on paper, right?
Yeah.
Kristina McMorris is who I'm speaking about. The book is really outstanding. It's destined to be a classic. It's called The Pieces We Keep. You definitely will want this one. Kristina's credentials include being named one of Portland, Oregon's 40 under 40. So if it's romantic to her, then the phenomenon I was referring to goes on beyond our generation. She's an entrepreneur, the award-winning best-selling author of The Pieces We Keep, which is an historical novel that we're going to focus on. And this is not her first time getting these accolades. She goes on and on and on in her the notes that we were provided for her. Nearly 20 national literary awards, 2 nominations for the highly coveted Golden Heart for her fictional work, and it goes on and on and on. And if I read everything I have, we won't be speaking to her at all. So let's just go to the phone. Kristina McMorris. The book again, The Pieces We Keep. What a great job. You get an award right now for me. Kristina, good morning, Kristina.
Good morning. I'll take that for sure. I'd love to accept that award.
And where are you?
Thank you for the wonderful intro. My goodness.
Where are you right now?
Where am I? I am in Portland, Oregon. I'm way over here.
Well, thank you for getting up early.
Oh, no problem. No, I'm not too early for me this time. So I dropped off the boys at school, so I'm raring to go.
Oh, okay. And is your heater on? Is it cold up there?
Oh, goodness, yes. Our game on the way to school this morning was watching the temperature gauge on the car, when you watch the electronic gauge.
Right.
And the 3 of us were trying to guess how cold it really would get from the warmth of the garage to the school. And I actually won by 1 degree, so I guess 19 degrees was 20. So I was very close this time. I took the medal. Woohoo!
Yay!
Oh, wow. When you write, do you go back in time? Or does it feel like that? It's a stupid question, I guess, to ask it that way. But, I mean, does it feel like you do?
Yeah, well, I guess the characters feel so real to me as I'm writing them. And to me, I think the biggest thing that I've learned about writing historical fiction which is why I think I keep writing it, is that the characters, the people, so many of the situations, although they were so extreme, being a world war, the stakes, of course, were never higher for the whole world. It reminds me, and hopefully I remind the reader, how much, although we're so different from generations, we are still so much the same. They were still facing the same situations of, caring about their loved ones and worrying that something would happen to them, and the distance of, that the heart grows fonder with distance. And much of that is still the same, that we face family dynamics, etc. So for me, it makes it very real. It's less of a transportation as much as a bringing that past to the present, because it's still, those situations are very similar.
Is all history romantic to you?
It is for the 40s. I agree with you 100%. There is something very romantic about it, and maybe it's because I didn't live it myself, and so looking back at the train stations and, the reunions that happen there, and the letters that go back and forth, which is exactly actually how I was inspired to start writing at all, was just a handful of years ago. What inspired my debut novel, Letters from Home, was sitting down for an afternoon with my grandmother, who was an Iowa farm girl, who was on my mom's side, and she started sharing stories about her life. And that's how this all started. It was only because I was making a family cookbook for Christmas present for the family, which a lot of people do, and I included her biography at the last minute, and that is when she shared with me that she and my grandfather, my late grandfather, had only dated twice during World War II, exchanged letters the whole time, were married for 50 years until he passed away.
Wow.
And she shared all of the letters with me from her closet, which I had nobody in the family knew that she had kept them because she says we never asked. Of course.
Wow.
So
Wow.
that is what literally his letters from a 19-year-old sailor who didn't know he'd be coming home tomorrow, poured out his heart in these beautiful letters. And I had no idea, and I'm getting chills right now. I've been thinking about it because little did I know that afternoon, his letters from decades earlier, from 60 years earlier, 7 years earlier, would have changed the course of my life, and it literally did.
Well, you have written a really fascinating story, and the way that you approach this, you managed to bring the past to the present, and then the heroine, she does all of this research to find somebody that can be connected with the past and help her and her son in the present.
Yeah, absolutely. And again, this was inspired by a true story. You may have seen it, years ago there was a national news segment about a young boy who was suffering from night terrors as a toddler, and what his skeptical parents eventually were convinced of because of the obscure historical facts that they verified and that he was sharing from his dreams of dying in a plane crash. They ultimately decided and believed that he was a World War II pilot in a past life who died in battle.
Yeah.
And whether you believe that or not, is really a matter of choice. Faith, of course, of any kind, whether it's love or anything that's intangible, is a matter of choice. And so for me, that story ended up inspiring the pieces we keep, because my own son, when he was a toddler, my oldest son, he used to have night terrors as well, and he would even speak of a grandmother who didn't exist. Now, is that creative ramblings? Absolutely, could have completely been.
Yeah,
but
right.
as a writer, it put myself in that position of what if I was in the same position? What if he started sharing things with me that he couldn't possibly know? And what would I do with that information? And that is what inspired the book.
I have a weird story to share with you, which is going to take us on a little bit of a tangent. I hope you don't mind, but you reminded me of something. When my nephew, my sister's son, was a baby, this is great. You can giggle at this one because you have no choice.
Okay.
He called his private parts a bobo. Okay, he called it his bobo. Okay. Now, his mother never called it a bobo. His father never called it a bobo. He decided it's called a bobo. Okay.
Right.
Well, one day I was reading an article in Rolling Stone, and it was a British musician, I guess, and he's talking about his bobo. And of course, the context of the article, enabled you as the reader, the American reader, to know, well, that's what they call it in England. Mm-hmm. Well, nobody in my family is from England.
Yeah.
So I said, maybe he's reincarnated from England. Who knows?
Right. Exactly.
I mean, yeah.
That have said they've traveled around the world, and there was my husband is a classically trained tenor, and his old teacher used to play with Dean Martin. I mean, he has this incredible history, and that I probably should have written a book about. But he said at one point he was over in London and walking around, never had been there before in his life, and for some reason he knew where every street was. He knew where to turn. He knew where little coffee shops were that had been for decades, and he started giving directions to people, and it was only after a time that he said, how did I know that? How did I know where everything was? And so it begs into question just the things that we don't understand, and the occurrences that are beyond explanation, and how could we possibly explain them? It's kind of fun to explore that.
And so in exploring it, did it somehow affect your belief, or did you not need that affected at all?
I think I'm just very open-minded about possibilities.
Yeah.
So I'm not going to sit here and tell you that, yes, there are past lives. And
you
yes,
don't know,
there's
right?
X, Y, and Z. Who knows? Do we know? Nobody really knows.
Right.
Maybe we'll know eventually, after this life. But I think I'm very open to possibilities because I believe there's so many things that we can't explain. And I think any mother can, sit there and stare at her children while they're sleeping, of course, when they're perfect, and sit there and think the amount of love that you have for them, I can't explain that by science. You sit there and think that the love is overflowing, and to me that's a whole different level of something that we don't understand yet.
Yeah. This book is called The Pieces We Keep. The Deepest Bonds Are Never Broken. Looks like it's maybe a subtitle or something. Kristina McMorris, our guest, wrote the book. It's getting rave reviews from everybody. It's already won an award, at least one, right?
This one, let's see. No, yet, because you know what? I won it from you.
Okay,
That's
just the one I gave you. Okay. All right. Well,
it just came out a week ago. So
okay.
It's brand new.
I guess I misunderstood that part. Okay, so when you're writing a book, though, I'm just going to guess, Kristina, that doesn't even cross your mind. The fact that it's going to win an award eventually doesn't even cross your mind.
No, not at all. I mean, this book again was probably it was also a labor of love, like they all have been. But this one was by far. I'll tell you what crossed my mind: the finish line. That's all I could think of when I was writing this book, because it's by far the hardest story I've ever written. There's, as you know from reading it, there's so many layers and interweaving, and it does, which we haven't mentioned yet, which I haven't mentioned yet. It actually goes present day and past, back and forth every chapter. And this mother, as she's trying to understand her son, because she is a skeptic, she ends up unraveling a mystery from World War II of a true account of Nazi saboteurs in America in 1942.
Oh, wow.
So for all of that research that I did and the interweaving of the two and trying to make it subtle and layered, halfway through I thought, oh my gosh, I loved this premise and I don't know if I can pull this off. And with a looming deadline, you have no choice, thank goodness. Really, looking back, thank goodness, because I may have walked away, and instead what I finished when I got to the end was a book that I'm most proud of.
Wow. Well, I have a copy, and I'm going to give it away, even though I want to keep it. So if I have a listener who wants the copy of Kristina's book, call me right now, and we'll leave it for you here at the radio station. The book is The Pieces We Keep. Kristina McMorris spells her first name with a K. Kristina, you want to give us some information on how we can go buy it? Is there a website or something?
Yeah, absolutely. It's wherever books are sold. You can definitely get it there, online, etc. And please, visit my website. It's, like you said, Kristina with a K, and McMorris is mcmorris.com. And you'll even find on my website I've got excerpts from my grandparents' letters and all kinds of fun World War II stuff. So I hope they do stop by.
Wow, and this is something relatively new for you, just a few years ago, huh?
Yeah, I was pregnant with my second child, so it was 7 years ago. And literally, I always joke that obviously my hormones were at an all-time high level that makes you delirious, because if you're creating life, a book didn't seem that hard to me. So I was blissfully ignorant.
That's
Thank goodness.
funny.
I didn't know what I was getting myself into. Yeah.
Kristina, you gave us a great interview. I apologize again for the phone issues at the beginning, and it seems to be all's well that ends well kind of a thing. Kristina McMorris, thank you so much for being on with us today.
Thank you. It was such a pleasure.
Good interview. We'll take a break, and we'll be right back.
Habitat for Humanity of Marion County is a ministry dedicated to improving lives by providing affordable and decent housing. Help them help others by visiting the Habitat for Humanity Ocala home store on Northwest 27th Avenue. To schedule a donation, give them a call and they'll come and pick it up. For more information, visit habitatocala.org. Habitat for Humanity of Marion County, building homes, building hope, building community.
Phoenix Promotional Solutions, your company supplier of banners, digital decals, yard signs, and magnetic signs. Where you give them approved artwork by noon, the next day by 4 p.m., you pick up your banners, digital decals, yard signs, and magnetic signs. Phoenix Promotional Solutions, 368-2404. That's 368-2404. Don't forget, they do vehicle wraps also. Phoenix Promotional Solutions, 368-2404.
Here's what you may have missed on the John Tesh Radio Show.
Did you know you can add blueberries to lean ground beef or turkey? The fruit will keep the meat moist, plus you'll sneak more nutrients right into your meals. Did you know all the gadgets we use are now affecting our posture? Technology is turning us into a nation of hunchbacks. To stop the slouching, frequent breaks from our gadgets and hold our heads up. The pathway to success. Support other people's ideas, speak up more often, and always be a good teacher.
Intelligence for your life on the John Tesh Radio Show. Don't miss this stuff.
Don't get caught without your daily source of senior deals. Pick up your copy of the Senior Voice newspaper. It's your source for schedule and events tailored to seniors, with information you need, like a list of free events in the area. We even have Tom's Picks, a free referral for people who are looking for a company to do work for them. Tom's Picks will refer the company to you that fits your needs. And all we ask in return is that you tell them where you heard about them. For more information, call Tom's Picks, 352-804-1223. And pick up your copy of the Senior's Voice at most any business up and down the 200 corridor.
Now read Ocala Downtown newspaper online.
Hi, Hi, I'm Yvette, and I'm here to tell you a few things about ABC Fredericks Appliance. They sell not only new, but used guaranteed appliances. When you call ABC Fredericks Appliance, they will provide service on what they sell and any appliances that you own. ABC Fredericks Appliance is located in Bellevue, right over the railroad tracks. Call 352-629-5181. That's 352-629-5181. That's 352-629-5181. ABC Fredericks Appliance.
Hi, this is Brad. I want to take a moment to talk about a serious issue. In the next 5 years, the aviation industry is projected to have a shortage of commercial pilots. Now is the time to start training. Ocala Flying Club has started a scholarship for the youth of Marion County ages 17 to 24. The club will donate up to $4,000 towards a pilot's license. This will help get the student on their way to obtaining their commercial pilot license. If this sounds like something you would be interested in, or if you know someone that would be, please contact Ocala Aviation Services, 861-7484.
Ocala's information station, 1370 WOCA.
Ocala.
All right, I apologize to everybody. We went long and late, and I had some phone issues, so I'm going to use all those as excuses as to why our 11:20 guest is coming on at 11:30. I apologize for that. She is on the phone right now. Her name is Dr. Regalena Melrose, Dr. Reggie. She's a clinical and school psychologist. She's the creator of Brain Charge. It's a K-12 curriculum program. She's an inspirational speaker, a stress and trauma healing specialist for children, adolescents, and adults. And her book is called The 60 Seconds Fix, the brain-changing toolkit that stops unwanted habits and starts surprising joy. I would imagine that that's probably triggering some of you to want to pay attention, knowing that in less than a month you're going to make up your mind to make some changes in your life. And maybe if you could stop some of the habits that you're not happy with about yourself, whether it's smoking, overeating, or anything, maybe even something deeper than those two examples, maybe the 60 Seconds Fix will be the very thing that'll enable you to live the life you've always wanted to live. I don't know if I said that right or not. Let me say very little else except for good morning to Dr. Reggie Melrose. Good morning, Doctor.
Good morning. It's so nice to be with you today.
And I am so sorry about the phones and the tardiness, and thank you so much for being understanding with that.
Absolutely.
I'm presuming you are.
I am. Yeah. I certainly am. I know how life is, believe me.
All right, so let me make sure that I'm not cutting into another radio host's time, am I? Do you have another scheduled interview?
Are you talking to me now about that?
Yeah, right
You're
now.
You're my last one today. You're number 5 and the last one. I've been up since 6 a.m. I'm over here on the West Coast, and I've been on the horn here since 6 a.m. So you're my last one. It's perfect.
Well, good. So we're not interfering with somebody else's time. I apologize again. So you're on the West Coast. Well, thank you for getting up early for all of us radio geeks to do this. So when we talk about fixing bad habits, let's start there. I mentioned smoking. I quit that habit 6 or 7 years ago, which, by the way, was a great thing. If you ask me how I did it, I don't know that my answer would help you, because it was this time of year. It was between Christmas and New Year's. I got a cold. I never liked smoking when I had a cold, so I kind of didn't smoke when I had a cold. And I made it through like January 3rd before the cold started going away. And I thought, I haven't smoked at all this year, because it was one of those all year long I haven't smoked. So I kind of used that as a psychological and I don't know, edge or something. And anyway, long story short, I quit smoking. I don't know if that is that similar to what we talk about. I don't know if I can do it with anything.
What I know about smoking, listen, I've done it all myself, I have to say. I've really been healing myself, which is why I'm such a convicted speaker when it comes to this subject matter. And I know for me it was a response to anxiety and stress. It was my attempt to regulate myself from the inside out. There was something going on inside my skin that felt really uncomfortable, like a racing, stressed out, pressure cooker kind of feeling. And even though people would say to me, calm down, Reg, just calm down, just relax. I mean, that never helped me. Does that help anybody? I don't know how to calm down and relax.
Right.
Right? So, I mean, really, it does the opposite. It's like when somebody tells you to relax. I mean, isn't that, very unrelaxing?
Yeah.
Yeah, I really found that unrelaxing.
So
it didn't work.
So I guess to take that advice, literally, if somebody says relax, maybe we should just say, you know what, you're right. Let me go find a couch somewhere and take a nap.
I like that.
But how can we fix something in 60 seconds? And is this 60 seconds? I mean, does it really? What is it? What happens in 60 seconds?
I know it sounds unbelievable, doesn't it? Okay, so here's the deal. The thing is that if we stop talking, okay, there's number one. Number one is, can I stop talking about how stressed I am, how uncomfortable I am, how bad I feel, how somebody did me wrong? Can I stop that for a moment and go sensory? Can I become nonverbal for just a moment and check in with myself in a way that feels better? So don't check in with myself when I'm racing without something to help me stop the racing, but do I have some sensory nonverbal tools that are actually going to lower my blood pressure, my heart rate, and my stress hormones so that I can get into a better state of mind? And that's what 60 seconds does. It's a set of tools that are nonverbal. It's sensory. It's about getting us grounded so that our blood pressure can come down and our heart rate, and we can get to a calmer state of being. And that can happen, I know it sounds crazy, within 60 seconds.
Is it some kind of yoga or something like from the Tibetan mountains or something?
Okay, so here's what I did. I didn't go to the mountains, but what I have been doing for 22 years is studying the neuroscience, practicing things like yoga and meditation, hiking in the mountains, and saying, okay, I can't get to this in my everyday life, right? When am I going to go hiking in the mountains? I don't have time to go take a meditation class. Right. But what is it from these experiences that the neuroscience really tells us are the key components, are the actual physical experiences during meditation, yoga, or hiking in the mountains that actually does lower heart rate, blood pressure, and cortisol? What are those things? Can I put them together? Can I get people to do them within 60 seconds? And will it bring a relieving effect? And the data is in, after all these years of collecting anecdotal data, observations, but then doing some rigorous scientific research this past year, we are getting relief within 60 seconds.
Really?
Yeah.
What the things in my, let's see, what actually causes you to relax? For me, I'm trying to think if any of this applies. Like if I take a nap, so I can wake up at a nap. I can take a nap feeling like all stressed out, and then after the nap I feel fine. Mm-hmm. So there's something about a nap that reboots my system. I don't know if that's true for everybody.
No. It's absolutely true for many of us that sleep is the single best way. Now, it's true for all of us that if we were all getting sleep, it lowers cortisol. It's the single best way to lower all those glucocorticoids, or our stress hormones, and the most popular one is cortisol, so I keep referring to it. But sleep actually, literally, physiologically decreases our cortisol. So we wake up with less of the stress hormones pumping through our body than we did when we went to sleep. The problem for many of us is that we're not getting good sleep. So cortisol isn't getting lowered, and we're often waking up as stressed out as we were when we went to sleep.
Oh.
Because, this is a problem. Like, we're not falling asleep, or when we do fall asleep, it's restless sleep. We have nightmares. A lot of the people in our lives are really focusing the sleep issues.
See, right now, this is a good thing. I mean, how many people are stressed out from shopping and they could use some of these techniques, right?
You also bring up how the parent's stress can affect the child. I mean, the child has a wonderful life, but then they'll detect something from the parents and then they'll get stressed out.
Absolutely correct. I mean, this is just the truth, and we have to begin to really accept what's true. Our children soak up our tension like little sponges. They are sensory beings. Their word brain is developing. We don't have a fully developed neocortex, the really human, I call it the school brain, because it's that part of us that really allows us to be excellent at what we do. But that part of our brain is developing over the lifespan. And our kids mostly have a more sensing, feeling brain. So we can be saying we're fine, but if they're sensing and feeling that we're not fine, we're just liars. You know what I mean?
Right.
I mean, they go, yeah, right. There's the talking head. You say you're fine. I see that you're not. I feel that you're not. What is up, man? And if they don't see us knowing how to calm ourselves down in a healthy way, they're learning how to so-called calm down in all the unhealthy ways that we're doing it.
And that makes a lot of sense. So this is a better way to do that. The book is called The 60 Seconds Fix, the brain-changing toolkit that stops unwanted habits and starts surprising joy. I wish we had more time to talk about it, Doctor. I have a copy. Let me give it away to somebody who wants this one, and you can pick it up here at the radio station if you call right now, 622-WOCA. Doctor, how do we get it? Do you have a website?
Yes, it's the 60secondsfix.com. So I like the number. It's 60, the 60secondsfix.com.
All right, and there's an S at the end of second, right? Seconds.
Correct.
Like
Correct.
Pluralized. Okay. Again, I apologize for the phone issues we had at the beginning. Thank you so much for being on the air with us, and you're definitely welcome back anytime.
Thanks for having me. You guys have a beautiful day.
Good stuff. I'm going to try to apply some of this stuff during this stressful season, right? All right, we'll take a little break. We'll be right back.
Today in Florida Ag News from the Southeast AgNet, we have the Commissioner's Spotlight.
I'm talking with Florida's Commissioner of Agriculture, Adam Putnam. Commissioner, most folks will be doing their charitable giving during the holiday season, but is there any way to research a charity before giving?
There sure is, Frost. Charities receive about half of their annual donations during November and December. These groups depend on us for support, but it's important to know if our donations to a charity are being spent responsibly. We can provide information on how much money is spent on administrative costs, on fundraising costs, and on the direct services for those in need. Call our consumer hotline at 1-800-HELP-FLA to verify that a particular charity is properly registered and to get a breakdown of how their money is spent.
That's 1-800-HELP-FLA.
Or visit freshfromflorida.com to search our online gift giver's guide before you donate to Florida's many deserving charities.
Thanks, Commissioner Putnam. For Commissioner's Spotlight, I'm Frost Burke.
Your Beef Checkoff does all kinds of things to help make sure consumers feel good about buying beef. And it's beef and dairy producers like you making decisions on how to invest your $1 per head checkoff to ensure beef makes its way to more meat cases, menus, and kitchen tables. And thanks to that careful investment, your Beef Checkoff returns more than $5.50 for every $1 invested. Get to know your checkoff and start sharing your views at mybeefcheckoff.com. Paid for by the Beef Checkoff.
Well, it seems that the general weather pattern of last week is likely to continue through this week, as USDA meteorologist Brad Rippey tells us that our growers here in the Sunshine State will once again elude the threat of the damaging temperatures that